Welcome to our July edition of Let's Get Growing, and it's growing in the landscape, so let's grow on. Well, in July we have a long list of things that you can plant, so watch the screen. I'd like to point out that you can do gladiolas from bulbs right now. And remember, hot weather annual seeds such as zinnia, marigold, and portulaca can be done from seeds, saving us a bunch of money. Just remember, when they get that second set of leaves, then you can move them. You just handle them by the leaves, not the stem. They can grow new leaves, but they can't grow new stems. You can also plant sod, and you can do sprigs, or you can do grass seed. The main thing is to remember to keep it wet until you get good growth. And then you can separate your lily bulbs now and your spider lilies and candidum. All right, we have several things that you should be doing in the landscape, like mowing once a week again, and also raise your mowing height during those hot summer months. If you water shallow, then you're going to force a shallow root system, and then that root system is not going to carry you through a drought or through those cold winter months. And we know after last winter, we have to be prepared. And one more thing on that mulch. After you've watered those newly planted areas, mulch the newly planted areas and any bare spots that you have. If you're going to prune, the only thing to be removing during July is dead and diseased wood. All right, let's talk about fertilizer. The rule of thumb is to never fertilize a dry plant, and that doesn't matter if it's in the ground or if it's in a container. You won't fertilize the lawn until 2 or 3 days after a rain, and you won't fertilize a container until 2 or 3 days after you've watered. And then with your next watering, you would fertilize, and you would fertilize a day before you would water. Start staking those chrysanthemums if you're fertilizing them, because they may fall over. Those are the taller varieties. And then you'll also want to fertilize your alyssum, your petunia, and the verbena, but that's only after you shear them for more blooms. And then your daisies, after cutting the blooms off, then you'd want to fertilize them. But make sure you cut the stakes to the ground so that you're going to get a long, nice, full stake. If you don't, it'll broom at the top and fall over. Keep the compost wet so that it'll keep germinating and turning up and composting for us. So we'll have that this fall. And then we want to keep the weeds pulled, because they're robbing not only the plants of moisture but nutrients, and they're also vectors for insects that will hurt your plants. So pull those weeds when they're small. It's easier when they're small. Frequent cultivation, light cultivation of the soil around your plants, particularly in the garden, is going to break up that cake top that's just baked, and let the moisture that at least falls from the humidity in the morning get down into the soil. So by breaking it up, the roots of your favorable plants will take off, and you'll also disturb the weeds and make them very easy to pull. Okay, we're going to talk about airplane plants. They're very drought tolerant, and I can actually grow this asparagus fern, airplane plant, and even the Jew in my flower bed at home. They die back in the winter, but they've come back every year for the past 7 years. But I wanted to tell you, look at the difference. This one is what we call the regular airplane plant, and look how wide the leaves are, but they're much thinner than this one. And if you can see, the green is on the inside and the white is on the outside. And these are both the same, but you can see the difference between these two. As you can see, they have these long nodules, and these actually store the water. And today we're going to repot this airplane, which is overgrown this container and is putting out little puppies or new airplane plants, into this pretty decorative container. Now, most people would go ahead and plant in this, but it has no hole. This is what we call a decorative container. So I want to put this pot in here, actually this plant, but the pot won't fit. So I found a container that actually fits. I use a product that's fairly low in perlite, which is the white that you see in this mixture. And I put a little bit of soil in the bottom of the container. Now we remove this one, and you can see that it definitely needs to be repotted. We're going to break the root system up. And if it seems to be a little tied up, we can help it. And I like it.
Okay.
I'm going to place it in its new container. Yep, and fit it in all the way down. And let's see, does it fit? And are we happy? See, it's just airy enough that we can still see our butterfly like this, and we'll have a beautiful plant. Now we know that if a plant is blooming, that it's not going to be making roots. It'll be sending all of its nutrients and all of its energy out here to make new seeds. And we're going to remove these so that we're forcing new roots and foliage to make it more healthy. And the only thing that we have left to do is to water thoroughly. And I found it better to put it in a container and let it soak the water up from the bottom as well as watering from the top. And it'll be the same on this one. We'll water from the bottom and the top. Well, that's our July edition of Let's Get Growing. It's a hot time of the year, but with just a little bit of work in the evenings and the early mornings, you too will be growing on.